Hi everyone. I was sitting in the back and I was thinking, it's not too late to run outside, the door was open. So to be honest, public speaking is really new to me, so please bear with me. I'm not a specialist or am an expert in any particular thing, but I've been asked to come here and share my story and my thoughts on something that I'm passionate about. What I'd like to talk about today is community. And I can see some of you thinking, what's this guy on about? And to be honest, my talk will be about why I feel we need communities to stand up and be responsible and not to leave it to individuals who are willing to fight for the cause, whatever that may be. So, still have the same looks. What's this guy on about? Well, let me tell you my story and why I feel we do need strong communities that are willing to make a change, a positive change for all, and to stand up for what is just rather than to leave it to strong individuals that are willing to either rule us or dictate us. I was born in a war-torn country, which was also going through a famine, and if that wasn't bad enough, armed men had come into our home and gunned down my family. My pregnant mother, survived. She left everything and went into hiding. She gave birth to me on the backseat of a taxi, and we spent the first 8 years of my life on the streets of Ethiopia, then Sudan. So growing up, I've seen many injustices, many deaths, and many people, including my mother and I, who had nothing. Just like many before us, many after us, and like many people around the world today who still have nothing. So that made me feel like I had no one in the whole world except for my mother. I had no one to rely on, no one that I could trust, except for my mother. So that made me feel like, okay, it was us against the world. And see, when you're a child, you take that mentality of us against the world, or me against the world, and fight for what is yours, and sometimes what is not. And going from there, as you get older, we start to understand that actually, well, as we get older and hopefully wiser, we start to understand that we are part of something much bigger. One voice can't be heard among many. But the more voices you have with a positive cause, the longer lasting the effect. And if that is to manifest into society, we would make a better home for everyone and a better world. So after arriving in Australia, I noticed many of the fears, dangers that we had from back when we were in Africa slowly started to fade away. We started to make our new lives in this country, and we were very grateful for the opportunity we were given. But growing up, I noticed that some of the social injustices in Australia weren't too different to the ones back in Africa. I started seeing homeless people begging for food, money, clothing, and I started to feel guilty and ashamed because that was no longer me. I didn't have to worry about where I was going to get my next meal, where we were going to sleep, any of that anymore. And I didn't have to worry about every time I closed my eyes if I was going to wake up the next day. And that made me think and question, why do we have so many people and suffering and all this injustice in this lucky country of ours? So from there, really, to me, it seemed like our societies now have moved from more of a community and family-orientated and have gone towards the individualistic approach to living. Basically, from what I'm trying to say from there is, so bear with me. So yeah, once we've gone along that line, we don't... Sorry guys. One sec. Got my speech? Sorry, I'll start again. So yeah, we've gone from the family and community orientated more into the individualistic approach to living. It's almost about how we feel there and then that will determine our actions and sometimes our morals. And to give you an example, we continually turn a blind eye to the bums we occasionally see going through the rubbish bins in our cities, the many people that we see sleeping on park benches or bus stops, and the young people that we see, they seem intoxicated and passing out on our streets. But when we see TV ads of hungry and homeless people in another country, many more people feel a connection with that than they do with the hungry and homeless they have in their own neighbourhoods. But why don't communities rise to these injustices before the outside see it? This has gone on for far too long. Communities' problems need to be fixed from the inside out. That's my personal view. See, for many countries and many communities, it's been the other way around. They've wanted to fix problems from the outside in and from the top down. But I believe it should be the other way around. Communities' problems, once again, needs to be fixed, I personally believe, from the inside out and from the bottom up, if it's ever going to be long-lasting. Communities need to stand up, voice their concerns, and fight for what is right. But some may say it's human nature. We tend to leave things till it's too late before we want to make a change. And yes, to some point that is true. And history also tells us this. But why haven't we learnt from history? And to give you an example, in my local community, there was a number of things that were affecting us, but no one wanted to do anything about it. The community didn't want to take responsibility and take action. On one side, we had the migrant group who felt isolated with no support, and on the other side, we had the majority who felt uncomfortable with the new issues that were arising. Both groups felt disconnected, even though they were from the same community. The problem started to escalate. Something needed to be done. So I'm going to show you, while I'm talking, I'll show you some of the things that we've done. So something needed to be done. So I got a group of young people, well, with the help of some young people, we started an organisation called PAWES. And it's got nothing to do with animals. PAWES, P-A-W-E-S, stands for Providing Awareness with Education and Sport. When I first started PAWES, I started coaching roughly about half a dozen young people. And now it's grown to having roughly about 200 people. Out of that 200 people, that doesn't include their family members, doesn't include the wider community, and every person that comes in contact with our members who is touched or inspired in some way. My whole point is, if we want to make change, we need to start with our communities first. Especially also, when I'm saying change, I'm talking about on the global scale. We need to start small in our communities and work from there. Because not one voice or one person can make a change, but whole communities can. And before I leave, I'd like to leave you with a last message, which is, Get involved in your community to make it a better day, but an even better tomorrow. Thank you.